What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. It would appear that even the strong, those that stand up against cancel culture, have their limits. And for Scott Cawthon, it was just easier to walk away. And games media, the very same people that keep saying cancel culture doesn't exist, is out here doing an immense victory lap for something they totally didn't do. I mean, they were just reporting and providing feedback and insight onto this man's life. That said, reporting and insight and feedback led to his doxing, his pregnant wife receiving vile messages, and all sorts of other things. Now, a guy who's a multimillionaire decided, you know what, I'm peacing out on this. I just don't care. Now, for all the cancel culture deniers that have been circling this thing with saying, well, he's actually not totally dead, so he wasn't canceled. Look at how the media is portraying this. It's like they got a scalp, right? Game developer Scott Cawthon retires after outcry over Trump donations. Why Scott Cawthon is retiring for Five Nights at Freddy's. He retires after backlash from GOP donations. I mean, they are taking a victory lap here. They absolutely believe that it was their reporting and his whopping $2,500 donation to the evil woman Tulsi Gabbard that led to his retirement. It actually wasn't that. It was the deluge of hate and harassment that he received by people who just can't. They are so feeble-minded that they are unable to process that somebody might make something they like that believes differently than they do politically. I mean, I talk about this all the time, but my favorite music is definitely like indie variety, and I guarantee most of them are far leftists. I don't really care if I like music. Like, you can separate the art from the artist sometimes. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. Apparently in video games, it's not allowed. I mean, the games media won't allow it. And you see this article here. Insider: Five Nights at Freddy's creator Scott Cawthon is retiring after facing backlash for donating to Trump and other Republicans. Again, so they're connecting that. Now, many people pushed back and said, oh, well, he's been talking about retirement for a long time and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, maybe, but let's not act like all of the uproar that he's been going through over the past few days isn't what finally pushed him over the edge. He may have been talking about retiring maybe after this latest game releases later this year, but he absolutely retired because of everything that's going on. There's just no doubt about it. I mean, there's no spinning this any other way. Five Nights at Freddy's creator Scott Cawthon is retiring after facing backlash for donating to Republican politicians, including former President Donald Trump. By the way, where is all this energy from the mainstream media that is going after this guy who donated, again, $2,500 to like 2 or 3 different people? I mean, Disney donated. You want to see, where's all this energy here? By the way, for what it's worth, Disney gave way more money to Trump than Scott Cawthon ever did. Walt Disney, $10,589. I mean, why weren't there endless articles about Walt Disney Company giving Donald Trump money? But Scott Cawthon, a traditional Christian who lives by mainstream Christian ideals, had to be canceled. I wonder. Quote, I've had a blessed, fulfilling, and rich career, the game developer said on Thursday on his website. I've tried to make some good games, let the debate ensue, and I've witnessed the creation of possibly the most creative and talented fan base on the planet. Cawthon said he would use retirement to spend more time with his 6 kids. As I realized that I was in my mid-30s when I created the series, now I'm approaching my mid-40s. I realized that I miss a lot of things that I got to focus on before Five Nights at Freddy's became such a success. I miss making games for my kids. I miss doing it just for fun, and I'm missing making RPGs, even though I stink at it. Cawthon added that his departure won't spell the end of the popular survival horror game series. He'll choose someone to take over Five Nights at Freddy's and announce his successor later. By the way, we're a lot of these content creators that got massively popular and made millions of dollars off playing this game, like Markiplier, PewDiePie, where are all these people now defending him? I mean, they were radio silent. Maybe they didn't know. I'm not like calling them out specifically. Maybe they didn't know. But I mean, there are a lot of YouTubers and streamers that literally made their careers, not that PewDiePie did, but that reached massive heights playing this man's games. Obviously, the controversy erupted last week when it surfaced that Cawthon had a history of donating to Republican lawmakers, including Trump Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, according to Open Secrets. His political donation sparked outrage, particularly among LGBTQ fans of the game. I would say some of them, definitely not all of them, who make up a sizable part of its fan base. Again, highly unlikely that it's a sizable part. Is there anything about Five Nights at Freddy's that appears explicitly to the LGBTQ community? I don't think so. It's just a jump scare game. So I'm not sure why that narrative, I mean, maybe it's based on data somewhere that I haven't seen, but I would assume that it's the same percentage that is like a cross-section of the United States. In the following days, Cawthon defended his support of several candidates to whom he had donated, including Maryland congressional candidate Kimberly Klickich, a black Republican, Democratic presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard, and Trump. I supported Trump because I felt he was the best man to fuel a strong economy and stand up to America's enemies abroad, of which there are many, he said at Reddit at the time. You know, this immediate flip-flop does feel a lot like the guy at Warner Brothers, the Harry Potter guy who, you know, had some like anti-game journalist takes in the past, and then all the journals teamed up to get him canceled from the Warner Brothers, and then he just quit. Like, I applauded him for standing up at the time, and then he just quit. Same thing here. Again, obviously, if I don't know what his net worth is, I'm sure it's in the many millions of dollars, and he probably just doesn't want to deal with it. When weirdos are showing up at your house or sending, you know, messages to your wife, things like that, you want, you know, it's just easier to walk away. But there are now innumerable articles celebrating this, including one of the biggest hypocrites in the games industry, Patrick Klepek. You can see his top tweet here saying, "See ya," retweeting a Polygon article, talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. Critter says he's retiring and handing off the franchise amid blowback over political donations. Let's see, 150 replies, 637 likes, probably not a good return. Scott's still a multimillionaire, doesn't have to work a day in his life again, still gets money from the franchise. You're working for Vice, which is one step away from bankruptcy, and high school plays have more of an audience than your podcast. Who won again? You see Disney put more than $400 million into a Vice investment. Now says that investment is worthless. You have a podcast with 500 followers. Game journalism living down to the stereotype by taunting a man more successful and beloved than they could ever hope to be. Just an average day. His franchise will never die. And you see Patrick saying, I like the series. They are some of the best uses of jump scare around. He goes on to say, of course, his old post coming out, you can see Patrick Klepek with just a very spicy comic here. You can see ready for a hate crime. Uh-oh. That seems kind of racist, Patrick. You can see here is a survivor of SA, if I remember right, or trafficking. Patrick Klepek, I never gave you permission to post my email or quote me in any way. I said clearly I didn't want to be involved in the article. I mean, this is truly an honest man. And you could say, I don't see the problem here. He made a wildly successful thing people enjoy. He's entitled to those gains and do as he wishes with them, as long as they're in the realms of legality. To Patrick replies, that means immunity from criticism and scrutiny for what you do with those gains? I mean, and of course he gets destroyed there in that as well. Funny, these activists that want gaming to be more welcoming with no gatekeeping for some reason aren't so welcoming and are gatekeeping. I mean, endless posts of, you know, his heinous past. I don't like throwing that stuff in people's face often, but with games journalists, it sure is lovely to do. You could see, I can't even read what that caption says that Patrick posted. So yeah, Patrick is not exactly a good dude in really by any stretch of the imagination. Now, what does this mean for Five Nights at Freddy's? Well, nothing really. The game series will continue. You could see Five Nights at Freddy's made popular by the likes of PewDiePie, Markiplier, and Jacksepticeye, all help to draw attention to Five Nights at Freddy's through their hyperbolic reactions to its various jump scares and speculation on the game's obscure lore. Since the breakout of the success in game in 2014, a sequel has been produced nearly every single year, with the exception of 2020. Sometimes entries were turned around in even quicker succession, like when Five Nights at Freddy's 3 and Five Nights at Freddy's 4 came out within mere months of each other. Well, that's just smart, right? That's capitalizing, that's riding the wave when it's hot. You could see many people here. Obviously, him saying in his exact tweet, I'll let you read his post in its entirety on its own, but is Five Nights at Freddy's security breach canceled? With Cawthon no longer attached, fans have begun to wonder the future of security breach, now in jeopardy. Ever since the first game, he's been the driving force. But in his own words, is this the end of FNAF? No. This just means that someone else will eventually be running the show, someone of my choosing, and someone that I trust. We'll wait and see how it all plays out, but an announcement will be made at some point. While it's currently unclear who his successor will be and whether they'll be restarting from scratch or if they will complete any remaining work on Security Breach, it will surely come as a relief to fans to learn that Five Nights at Freddy's has not yet run its course. In addition to this, the upcoming reboot was being developed in partnership with Steel Wool Studios, so they are also in a position to finalize the game. In short, there's a good chance Security Breach will eventually see the light of day, although it is reasonable to assume that it might be postponed a little because of this development. I actually don't think that it will be postponed here. I think that it'll just go through like normal. Ultimately, it's really unfortunate. I'm sure that Scott is crying over a gigantic pile of money. He'll be fine. But it's just another perfect example of the how the crabs in a bucket that is the game's journalism sphere sees people more successful and happier than them and makes it their goal to undo that. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.